think in this one we're going to talk about what I call the alien gods. Um, it's it's a lot to talk about, so probably won't be able to hit it all in one video. And this is all just my own inner perspective. Anybody else you can go to people that have broken through on entheogenic technologies and whatnot before, and they can give you a pretty good. Some people out there really know their stuff. They really do, especially with the entheogenic technologies and encountering beings on that stuff. Like I said, you can look up anybody anything about that. A lot of interesting stuff that is not necessarily my experience with uh, other beings of sorts. Um, so, you know, what about them? Well, there's different kinds. Obviously, the first one I want to talk about are mainly like the things I experience is like the non-physical beings. These are the ones that are at least within another dimension. They're in another dimension or another type of reality of sorts. And these are ones that which have usually have different elements to them. Uh, Different elements like the stars, the sun, the sky, the ocean, uh, earth, fire, different councils of these non-physical beings. A lot of them. So like the star one is like this like world where it's like there wasn't anything that is universe where nothing existed, and they only exist through like the star material of our universe or something, and it's like it creates these types of beings, and I'm stuck in this existence with this type of being, and everything's like just complete nothingness with them. And like I said, they look like they're just created out of like a bunch of stars, like blue, light bluish maybe stars. It almost looks like a figure with a hood and a staff, almost some kind of staff. I almost thought years later this might have been set, but I really don't know. They seem to be very mathematical and scientific. This ultra like IQ being. Then there's like the Flower Council, or it's like these like they look like they wear these nice robe looking things. Then they're all about like this the divine love kind of stuff, and like the whole emotional field. This is the Flower Council now, and then you go to Fire Council. That's like pain and suffering, and it really does look like at least early on in the experience that looked a lot like what I pictured as hell, and they make it look like that. There's like demons and dark black robed hooded figures everywhere, and then they'll smash you alive while reading out something verse or something on a tablet, a big stone tablet while you're incinerating. That one was a wild ride. And you have the Woodland Council talking about mostly mammalian DNA as it appears throughout the universe. So it's not just bound to what we have on this Earth with mammalian DNA. There's a lot of other things, other possibilities out there with the mammalian DNA. So many things. This thing looks like a marsupial lemur looking thing almost. I don't know how to explain it. Big white fur climbing through the trees. This thing's massive, but they could also be small size, much smaller than even a human. And that's their thing, like woodland forested mammalian DNA, something like that. And like I said, they're 60 million years of evolution right there, and what they are, or at least like what they can show in so many things. Um, there's also like a tech council where it's like all machinery kind of stuff that is possible to exist. So there's like a really different like varying of like stuff that exists. And there was a shadow council also, which I think he had something to do with like languages spoken in all different life forms. So there's a lot of different life forms that exist. They're not just like humans or anything in our image. Just a lot of different things. They all speak some kind of language, whether it's telepathic or verbally spoken like this. So yeah, that was his thing. It was like a big floating, glowing brain looking thing, almost. And so those are some of them. You have other things out there, like there's angelic, fallen angelic, alien. I mean, they're all what I could have called alien gods, and I know everything has a deeper explanation to it out there. But the angelic, fallen angelic beings, there's a variety of them that all appear within like a non-physical and a physical way. The main ones, like the feathery ones with like the strange like masked head. It's hard to explain. It's like a solid white figure with like it has like six or maybe even more feathery looking wings on their back, and they're all moving in like different ways. There's like ribbons all around them. Like I said, it looks like it's almost wearing like a mask, like one of those those drama masks where they're both like smiling or crying, laughing or crying. It almost looks like a mask like that. Um, and then there's like the fallen angel, and they really do show like themselves like in a higher position. Like this within that being that I just tried describing, when they enter like our human existence and they appear like humans just like us, they really do have like a higher like vibrating field coming out of them rather than what you'd get out of the average person on this world. They really have like something in that. And the fallen angelic beings, there's like Daemon, and then there's Hades, and supposedly a lot of these beings are a part of like draconian type of draconian race, reptilian Draco, something like that. A lot of them are a part of that, supposedly. In my own inner experience, they're just like their own, field of demons, the Daemon and Hades. But I would say they're both equally pretty bad. Like, people could wonder if Daemon is worse than Hades. Hades is still pretty bad if you land in his office. And yeah, and like I said, like they're like these darker things. They just emit a lot of pain, physical and everything else they could do to you with pain, and this just seems to be their name of the game almost. But there's a lot more I could talk about that. Like with them, like there's all this stuff with like Hades is actually just this old skeletal figure hiding in an underground chamber in DC. Like, I don't know where it came up with that, but that's what they told me early on, that there's like hidden underground chambers in DC with these demonic figures. Like I said, I don't actually know, would have never been able to find it, and I wouldn't want to. So you have them, and then there's a whole nother level of life in the universe. So all of what else exists out there are like these, this idea of these massive physical. They're like these, I would say, almost like massive enlarged sea creature, like god things. I don't know what else to call them. This is just a strange idea of like something contracted onto something small, like a snake or an eel, or maybe even a fish, or starfish, or jellyfish, something in that range. It could have been any kind of specimen that just doesn't exist here, and that's why they're able to grow like this. But okay, so these things always come from like a world that never develops the same way as ours does, but they still evolve in some way or another. Everything still evolves, but like these things just like sit there for like the equivalents of like millions of years. These massive just things of energy, they grow into like this massive snake, this massive eel, this massive starfish or like jellyfish thing that just about, I mean, some of them, not all of them, some of them can move freely. Some of them just grow around the world. Like they grow. I know I sound like I'm explaining some video game idea, but like they grow around the world, and it's like this massive, like thing that evolved, and it's just kind of lived. Its body was produced to live past death and all this crazy stuff. And it's usually like a giant serpent or like a eel looking thing I see, and they wrap around the world almost. They have, and there's massive civilizations below them and below the ocean, above them, and like it's just every kind of civilization. In some worlds they have like just a pure ancient looking, like everything just looks kind of like forest and field to Mayan, and Egyptian looking structures, all the way to like worlds with technology like this and even more advanced, where it still has this main thing that I'm trying to talk about, these massive eel serpent things that are hiding in an ocean somewhere and wrapped around the world, not always, and just it's, and like I said, there's like civilizations that form around them. They got these things are like holding up walls of water and domes of water, and that's a part of the theory in my own experience. Like they showed like the world with our world supposedly had like once had like a jellyfish, which was nothing in comparison in size comparison to these other things like the eel and the serpent. We never had anything like that because we wouldn't be here in a world like this if we had something like that over us. Anyways, we had this little jellyfish thing. It was very powerful, very powerful. It was powerful enough to hold up a few walls of water, a few domes of water, and held up the walls. Supposedly, it was part of the leading source of like Atlantis, and it was like this, like I said, it was this massive jellyfish thing, and it was very powerful, and it, uh, it had like, just like I said, like it was this like stone looking place with clear skies, clouds, stones, a lot of stones, stone structures. I could get into detail about a lot of stuff, and like I said, there was also once like a elephant race that coexisted with us, kind of. But there's like a deep like interdimensional break off of reality thing with them, so that's why they don't exist here anymore. This is just the stuff that has come to me over time, just different ways. Um, Also, what was before on our Earth and possibly like part of Mars and Venus or something was like this thing. It was this colossal Egyptian god-looking figure that once like just like towered over everything on this world, and it was like the size of, I don't know, it would have been the size of like almost a building possibly compared to us, and I see it like either standing there or sitting in like this like big pillared temple looking structure thing that was just for them to just like sit their figure, and they don't move, they don't actually have to move, they're just like a almost non-physical but they're still physical structure kind of thing that is made out of some kind of material of sorts. And like I said, like they just kind of like, it shows them either standing or sitting in like, they're either standing around as they teleport around the world and they just stand there and make themselves present, or they just sit there in like a big throne looking thing uh, out in the middle of what appears to be like a desert with a there. It's like a big blue aurora field around them, and there was supposedly like a insectoid life form that lived with them early on. I can't quite see much of him, but I can see part of him. And he lived with the this giant Anubis Ra statue thing. Also with the statue thing, and I mean, like I said, this is all just a part of me. There's a episode of Samurai Jack, I think I saw when I was a kid, where like he's out in Egypt, and this massive Ra statue comes down and destroys these like demonic dog things, I think. But that I've always seen that, especially when I was a kid, and I probably had seen that one time before ever having this experience, and then I know I saw it afterwards because I used to sit there and watch stuff like when I still lived with my parents. I used to sit there and watch stuff like uh, Boomerang, I think, and that's what Samurai Jack was coming on. I know I saw that one at some point. I was actually really interested. I was probably 16. I was probably 17, and I just was so interested. I was still dreaming this stuff like this, like constantly, and so yeah, like I said, like you see that. That's basically what it looked like. But yeah, and I could go on about the stuff. I think I talked about like the cosmic creatures. Uh, they're like more godlike than anything else I could talk about. But they're just, at the end of it all, they're just creatures, a part of a unknown existence, and all this other stuff is as well. But at the same time, there's just like a different level of things as how they are, and how, I don't want to use the word powerful, how powerful they are, but I mean that's basically the scale of like their existence, and their existence is what gives them the ability to have the power. And this is why humans, wherever we go, like we're only going to be able to go, like, if you're really trying to become like super powerful with just all the alien abilities, you know, psychonesis, telepathy, all that stuff, like all of that stuff just wanted to become part of you. Like, it just doesn't happen like that. I think even the people that claim to have abilities with that, like, can only show so much. They're not holding up colossal figures and ancient looking civilizations, and they're, obviously nobody's doing it like that. But it seems like, it's always, to me, it seemed as though something out there in the universe could have that ability, and telepathy, like, to the point where people just evolved not needing to project any sound out of their mouth, possibly not even need a mouth if food could just teleport into your stomach. Yeah, I know a lot of weird stuff like that. Uh, yeah, and like I said, they said like stuff like psychonesis could possibly be real. I know people have claimed to have it before. People are proven that they don't have it. Either way, it's really fascinating to just sit there and think about, like, all of the possibilities of what is, with all these ideas. And yeah, like I said, it is whatever you make it to be. And I'm still just looking for truth to this day. Thank you.